Hello and welcome to our podcast, where today we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of one of the best sci-fi time traveling movies of all time, Back to the Future. Great Scott indeed, bitch. I am your amazing, spectacular host with the most, Detective Artemis.
Hey everyone, it's me, old buddy Ben.
And I'm Journey.
What the heck is a gigawatt? And this is Drink to a Decade. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh man,
Oh,
I think
my
that's the
goodness.
first time you nailed an intro first try.
Why, thank you, sir.
Congratulations
Great
on that.
Scott. Great Scott, bitch.
Great
I
Scott.
don't. Does that work?
I don't know.
I like it.
It works. It works when the detective says it.
Here we are 40 years later and still debatably the best time traveling movie still.
I like how you gave up on the word.
I was you fucking there's
Arguably.
another word. I'm a walking thesaurus here.
Yeah.
So yes, 40 years and wow, it's been pretty fucking crazy.
40 years.
I remember the fucking ride at Universal. That was
Dude.
my favorite. It's now The Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons now.
But
yeah.
it was just so cool.
I don't think I ever got to do it.
I got to do it once years ago.
Yeah.
Also, the ET one never did ET.
E.T. That's now The Mummy.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
I do love the Mummy ride, but I think they're probably getting rid of that too.
I've never been to Universal. Like, oh shit, I don't think I've ever been at
And
Universal.
then there was the Beetlejuice show. It's just such a good time.
You've never been to the universe, Jern?
Universal. I don't think I've ever been. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I've been into the downtown area.
You mean City Walk?
Yeah. I've been at City Walk, and I think the only time I ever been to Universal was for Horror Nights.
But you never actually spent time at the park itself.
Just Horror Nights.
Like the theme park. Oh wow.
Well, we have
but it's completely different for Horror Nights. Like they close the park
Yeah,
up.
they
and they
change
close
it up.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to Universal now that I think about
we
it.
have season passes, dude. You can come with us if you want one day.
You guys don't like me. You never invite me.
I mean, yeah, but
I've been wanting to check out the new Harry Potter world.
the Wizarding World.
The Wizarding World, yeah. I've been wanting to.
And
That
then
looks like
Super
fun.
Nintendo World, dude.
Oh, that's
Super Nintendo World, dude. I haven't seen that yet.
the beginning of the story. I got to experience the ride for Back to the Future or E.T. or any of those. Do you actually did you actually ride in the DeLorean in the ride? Was it an actual DeLorean?
So it was a DeLorean, and it's like a virtual ride.
Yeah.
So it'll kind of move with the screen and stuff like that.
It was a very early virtual ride.
It was pretty rad, dude.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. That
So
sounds cool.
you didn't get. I mean, sometimes they'd have a DeLorean out front that you could get into, like an actual DeLorean.
Nah.
The ride, you're quote unquote in the DeLorean, but it's you don't get into it like you're getting into an actual DeLorean. It's
No.
still clearly just like a ride
Like a-
buggy.
Yeah.
Cart thing, yeah.
I think
but yeah.
And you
I think
travel through
it's-
different time periods and stuff, and you're chasing Biff for whatever reason, doing Biff things. So, but yes, that was cool.
I think it's so funny that the movie made the DeLorean so popular, but in reality, it's like
It was a complete failure.
one of the worst cars to ever been produced.
It wasn't a good car, and
the
what was
owner,
it,
too,
John
was-
DeLorean,
yeah.
was just a screw up,
Yeah.
and got into a big cocaine scandal and all this kind of
I
shit.
think
Yeah.
there was like a documentary
Yeah.
about it too. Yeah,
there
like,
is.
where they talk about how messed up the DeLorean was, or Mr. DeLorean, or
It was
whatever
underpowered for the weight of it
Yeah.
because it did have a stainless steel body on it, but
Oh.
the engine was not.
And then I think I read somewhere that during the production of the movie that one of the biggest problems with DeLorean was that the stupid car door, the thing that was supposed to hold the car door up was malfunctioning.
The hydraulics.
The
yeah.
hydraulics. So it kept drooping down, and
Oh,
I think
no.
I think it actually hit Michael J. Fox a couple of times because the door was malfunctioning.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a shitty car. So yeah, but a lot of people still own it for just nostalgia value.
Well, there's a lot of aftermarket, maybe not a lot, but there's a handful
Yeah.
of aftermarket companies that will soup it up for you, or they'll put an electric engine in it for you, or they'll, they make OEM parts for it.
I think there's an actual company that still makes DeLoreans, but like the body kit to make it like they come out looking like the movie.
I believe, if I remember correctly, it is a company in Michigan that bought all of the inventory from the factory in Ireland, because they were established in Ireland.
And
And
I think that's
they
what I might have
shipped
read,
all the
yeah.
inventory over to Michigan, and now they make kind of bespoke, like you can order a DeLorean from them and they'll build you one from the original parts.
There you go. I think that's
But
what I
you
read.
can,
Yeah.
but you can choose what kind of engine you want in it and stuff. You don't,
Sounds really expensive.
yeah, I think it is.
Are
I'm
you
pretty
telling
sure
me
it
that
is.
one day I may own a DeLorean?
Once we're rich,
You
yeah.
could?
Now, hang on. Now, does it come with the flux capacitor,
Probably not.
plutonium?
It comes
Probably
with the
Then what is the point?
but not a
No
real
Mr.
functional
Fusion.
one.
God damn it.
Not a
You
functional.
can
Fusion.
buy like an LED flux capacitor and install it in any car.
In
really.
any car, yeah, that's true.
That is
there,
pretty rad,
There are
okay.
different people that make them, different companies and people. I
Yeah.
think Etsy's probably a good place to go for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so-
heard that the Mr. Fusion was originally a coffee grinder.
I think so. They
Yeah.
repurposed something.
They
into that.
repurposed something. I think it
some-
was a coffee grinder, and they repurposed it as
Yeah.
a Mr.
So
But
what
that's
are
what-
some of your
That's what
earliest
departments
memories?
do.
God, that's heavy. All right. What are your earliest memories, Journey, of Back to the Future?
Dude, definitely one of those like, hey, I watched this on VHS, but I never owned it. Like it was just fun. I watched it on TV, and I remember as a kid, I thought Marty McFly was like one of the coolest, baddest guys out there. Like he skateboarded, he shredded on guitar, and I was like, I want to be like him when I grow up. And I didn't honestly do any of those things until years later when I finally learned how to skateboard and play guitar. But as a kid, I wanted to, but
Yeah.
eventually I did. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I remember. Just he was cool. That's who you aspire to be like.
For sure.
I know.
Hot girlfriend too.
Yeah. That got recast in the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for me as a kid, I was the youngest kid of older parents. And so I knew my folks were both born in 1945. So they were like, 10 to tween age in the 1950s, 55 to 60, basically. And so I know as a kid, I was kind of like, oh, the 50s, cool, and I listened to a lot of oldies with my dad and that sort of thing. And so this combination of first of all, the technology of going back in time and the spectacle of the DeLorean, going off in a blaze of light, and then the tired trails of flame behind it, and then going back to the 1950s, and when he gets there, they're playing Mr. Sandman and all that kind of stuff, and that always just fascinated me as a little kid. But it really was like, and I have these core memories of like the yellow radiation suit that he wears, and that whole scene when he first gets there and he's in the barn and he gets out and they think it's an alien and the farmer's trying to shoot him with a shotgun.
Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody. And just even as I got older and realizing the little nods to, when Marty goes back in time, he hits one of the pine trees. And so at the beginning, it's called the Twin Pines Mall.
Pines.
And at the end, it's called the Lone Pine Mall.
Such
Yeah.
cool detail, dude.
Little details like that, yeah, you catch on.
So yeah, those are, and just, and I remember thinking, what's her name? Lea
Thompson.
Thompson. I just had a huge crush on her as a little kid. I think, well, I still do, I guess.
She's the one that played the
She
mom,
played
right?
Marty's mom.
Marty's
yeah.
mom, yeah.
And I had a huge crush on her as a kid. I just thought she was beautiful.
With
Yeah.
with the old prosthetics?
No,
Or-
not
okay,
with the
okay.
old prosthetics.
I just got to clarify that.
You douchebag. Anyway, and I think it was appropriate at that time because she was playing like a 16, 17-year-old girl, and I was probably like 7,
Yeah.
so it wasn't.
Easy, Anakin.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a fun fact about her. So when she was
She's your mom.
when she said when she
Are you
started
Calvin?
when she started off like acting, her what is it called, her agent told her, look, this is going to be your acting career. You're either going to play the virgin, the whore, or the mother. And then she in an interview later on, she's like, it's so funny, this role was so special because I hit all 3 of them in
Yeah.
one role.
Yeah.
It was like I played a whore, a virgin, and a mother, and it was like I achieved what my agent said I would do, and all in just one role.
All in just one role.
Just one role, and I'm like, damn, solid.
And she had a great career after this
Yeah.
tshe was
She did.
also in
Still-
Jaws 3D.
Still,
right,
right?
yeah.
She's
She's still doing stuff. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So that but yeah, I just remember having a huge crush on her as a kid, and I did.
My crush was on Jennifer,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
the first one.
Yeah, you can't. I can't fault you for that. But yeah, it was. And I kind of related to Marty in the sense that I didn't
That
really
he liked his mom.
No.
Hold on now.
In the sense that he just got thrown into the middle of this situation and was just like, what is going on? And then my brain really goes easily into, and I think it's because I grew up in movies where, you know, so many movies that we grew up on were like, oh no, this guy gets thrown into the middle of this crazy situation that he doesn't know how to figure out. So my brain immediately goes to, okay, what are the rules of this time period or place that I'm in? How can I blend in and how can I figure out how to get out of here?
You've watched so many movies,
yeah.
man. There's no rules in movies.
So it's like, I'm just like, okay, how do I figure this out? You know, I relate to that. Any kind of movie where it's like a fish out of water type of thing where the character has to figure everything out and they make mistakes. I'm like, I wouldn't make those mistakes. I know exactly what to do.
What an idiot.
Or I figure out what to do. What about you, Detective? What are some of your earliest memories?
Favorites.
Sorry, I was really into what you were saying.
Earliest memories we were doing, right?
So I kind of briefly touched upon it at Universal, and the funny thing is I knew of Back to the Future, but I got my first experience on it from the ride. So at that point, it was like 98, so I was like 10.
Oh, you hadn't seen the movie before you went on the ride.
You did the ride first and then the movie?
Right. So,
wow.
Yeah, because it was the first time I went to Universal, and then we went on there, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because like now I actually know what this, well, I know what it was about. I knew it was like time traveling, but now I actually got like more of a sense of the characters and everything about it. I'm like, this is really cool. And then one day it was just on TV, and I watched it, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it started with Universal.
Because really with the Universal ride, it was more of like, you went through and then you were in dinosaur times and there was a dinosaur trying to eat you. And then you were in, you know, this and that and the other thing. And it was more about like witnessing the time periods than the characters. And the truth about it is the Back to the Future is really character driven. And, you know, it is a time travel movie, but it's like any great movie. It's just about people dealing with a situation.
Yeah.
And then the details around that. And, you know, accidentally getting sent back in time was the vehicle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Pun intended for that.
Good.
But just like, you know, I always say Jurassic Park is not a monster movie. It's a movie about people dealing with a situation, and a dinosaur zoo just happens to be the vehicle for that. And, you know, and then all the details that go into that makes it really great. Whereas like follow-ups to the Jurassic Park movies kind of just became monster movies. But the best ones are the ones where you invest in the characters. I mean, this is elementary stuff, but you invest in the characters, you invest in the story, and you like it. And then the cool shit is the icing on the cake. You know, the time traveling DeLorean is the icing on the cake, or escaping, you know, having to catch a bolt of lightning, you know,
at the right time,
at the right moment, you know, and so but also I've read a lot and I've looked at this from a writing perspective of the actual script of Back to the Future. Technically, it's almost a perfect script.
Oh, it's still used in like universities as the example for studies. Like they're like, you want to write a perfect script?
Look at Back to the Future.
Are you talking about like the way it's structured or the science behind it?
No, the way it's structured.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
yes.
it's both, right?
Well, I don't know about the science behind it.
Oh, you mean the science as in like...
From a writing perspective, as far as the
structure,
the structure of
the
script,
there is
no wasted dialogue.
It is a perfect structure.
Yeah. They're like every line of dialogue forwards the story. Like there's no wasted dialogue. There's no wasted character development or it, you know, more realistically,
there's a purpose for every
there's
scene.
a purpose. All of the purposes either fulfill story, character development, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really interesting. And I think that's part of the reason why it, you know, to say what we're going to talk about later, why it's lasted, you know, for so long is such a great movie, because it is structurally so well done.
Yeah.
Like airtight, dude. It's like I would say it's perfect, because I think it's one of those examples of a perfect movie. It just, not only in terms of like in structure, but in score, And
The
just,
music is great.
yeah,
Yeah.
just all around, like it's one of those like movies that you need to watch.
And
Plain
this
simple.
and this comes from that era of, before we came into the 2000s, you had this era in the 90s, 80s, 70s where you had iconic music from a
Mhm.
movie. And I don't feel like we get like, can you hum any of the Avengers, like the individual Avenger characters' themes?
No, they're just like ambient sounds.
Yeah.
They have individual themes.
I assume so, but maybe they don't. Maybe there's just music in it. But it's like, you think of, okay,
Mhm.
Jaws. I can think of exactly, you
True.
say Jaws. What's the music sound like to Jaws? Star Wars,
Batman.
Batman,
Batman.
Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. All of these movies, you're like, oh yeah, I know that song.
Yeah.
I could hum it to myself.
Even Gremlins.
Even Gremlins.
Even Gremlins.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is another one that, the Breakfast Machine. Dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
and you had these really great composers. We have great composers now, but
Yeah.
like, I think the soundtrack to Batman Begins is fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't really hum anything from Batman Begins.
I feel like a lot of movies nowadays, excluding few like top blockbusters, it falls into the same line as like social media right now, where it's like you find a trending song and
Yeah.
you attach that to your movie so that it boosts up the performance of the movie.
And that's not necessarily new, because they've been doing that. Like, they do
but-
tie in popular songs. Like, specifically, if you think of the late 90s, Batman Forever, you had Kiss from a Rose. That was the tie-in song. Even Batman
Oh.
Returns had, what was it? Prince, they attached Prince to their first Batman, and then in Batman Returns, there was another song, and it's when they're in the masquerade ball and Catwoman walks in. But I can't remember the name of it or the band. But then, Titanic, you have, I almost said Gloria Estefan. That's not right.
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
Yeah,
Her heart
Celine
will go
Dion.
on, all right?
Yeah.
My heart will go on.
So yeah, and that's definitely precedented, where you're tying some sort of popular song.
Yeah.
You look at the Deadpool movies, you had Bye 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 and Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think, was there one for Deadpool 2? I thought they tied in a song in Deadpool 2, but
No. I'd say Spider-Verse with the sunflower.
yeah,
That's-
definitely.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I mean, I feel like it
But
doesn't use it as a crutch.
yeah.
I feel like it's a supplement, but it doesn't use it as a crutch.
But I'm saying, as far as
And I feel
Oops.
like a lot of movies nowadays, it's like they use popular songs as crutches to try to,
sure,
up the performance and the like how well it does in
It's-
public view.
it's more
Like,
of using the song to make the movie popular, as opposed
There you go.
to
That's-
what
yeah.
it used to be, which was use the movie to make the song popular.
yeah.
But you still don't really have anything that's coming out nowadays where it's like, that's the iconic theme from that movie that
Yeah.
I can remember. I'm walking out of the theater humming it to myself,
Power of Love. Like, yeah, shit. Like,
Well, Power of Love,
For
or
this-
even just the orchestral
like, that
score,
was-
that bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Like, I could sing that to myself all day. Before we started recording, you were in the bathroom. I was singing it to Art out here. I was like, da na 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 na. You
I
can't
loved
do.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'd go watch a whole orchestra performance of that song.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I mean, I bet they still do, don't they? They
I'm
have
sure-
like you can go and watch it and to get it.
Well, and that's why, like, if
still
here
do it.
out in LA at the Hollywood Bowl, they'll
Hollywood
have,
Bowl.
John
Yeah.
Williams, we saw him a few years ago, and he
Yeah.
performed a lot of his songs.
but they'll have it where they'll like play the movie, and they'll have a live orchestra
Oh, that's
playing the
true.
soundtrack to the movie. And I think they've done it with Back to the Future. They've definitely done it with
With Tim,
they've done it with Nightmare Before Christmas, because
Okay.
I've gone to that one.
I thought so.
and they've done it with a few different movies, but
Hmm.
they're all movies that are like 20, 30 plus years old,
Yeah.
because you don't have unique or recognizable orchestral scores for
Yeah.
movies now. You have orchestral scores,
Yeah.
but like I said, like
The only recent movie I can think of where the orchestral score was just so amazing and phenomenal that they still do stuff now is oh my god, damn
good
it.
call.
For me, it's the Batman.
The Batman. But again, like I loved the Batman. I
Interstellar.
loved
Sorry,
Interstellar. Oh, Interstellar. Yeah.
Interstellar is probably the only like score that like I've seen a lot of ticketed stuff for, where they're like, hey, check it out. It's because it is,
and that's
a beautiful score.
That's a unique outlier because it's like that's Zimmerman.
Yeah,
and Zimmerman, and again, like Batman Begins, that sort of stuff, writes fantastic scores. But again, it's not something that I'm walking out humming to myself. It's not a recognizable hook or a lick or something like that. Great scores, but not something that sticks in my brain like Back to the Future or Star Wars or whatever. Anyway, Art, I feel like you were going to say something.
Yeah, like maybe like 10 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to say now or ask is, what are some of your favorite moments or scenes from Back to the Future?
Oh, man.
Hands down for me, it was like I kept replaying it because it's so beautiful. The Johnny B. Good performance.
Okay.
The Johnny B. Good performance is good.
I fell in love with that song so much, like the way he rips it. The Marty does like maybe like 3 or 4 famous rock star like moves.
Well, he does like
the Chuck Berry.
Yeah. Chuck Berry, Eddie Van Halen. Does a couple other things.
AC/DC, the
the
walk,
kick,
the little
kick walk.
Angus Young. Okay.
Yeah.
Jumping
Angus
on
Young.
his back. I mean, yeah, like spinning on his back.
Yeah.
Like, those were all like famous guitarist stuff.
Yeah.
And he did it all during that song. And Johnny B. Good is just such a great song.
Yeah.
And like the way he plays it, his version too, because it's not the original. He plays his version. I like, that's my favorite. Like the way he just kills it, and then the whole crowd's just in shock. And they're like,
well, and it's funny because
I
I think it's so the past part of the movie takes place in 1955, and I think Johnny B. Good came out in 56. I want to say. So, and there's the whole part of that whole scene where the guy gets on the phone. He's like, Chuck. It's Marvin, your cousin Marvin Barry.
Yeah.
You know that new sound you're looking for?
Yeah.
Well, listen to this. And he holds the phone out. And so there's that tie-in of like, Marty McFly. It's the cyclical thing of like
Time paradox.
The time paradox. If you go
paradox.
back and you love Beethoven and you go back in time and nobody's ever heard of Beethoven, so
you show Beethoven stuff.
So yeah.
And actually, I think I was reading a fact where they mentioned that same year, that like in the story, the actual year that he got the phone call in the movie is actually the same year and month that he blew up.
Oh, really?
That same year is when Chuck Berry blew up. That same year and month. So again, like they tied it into real events.
Music.
They tied it into real events, which is amazing.
That's just another like a testament to the detail in these movies.
The detail in the movies, yeah.
Well, and it's some of my favorite scenes. Like, honestly, how much time do we have? Because
nice pun,
right? Blah.
You got all the time in the world,
right?
When you got a time machine.
I got a time machine. But it's just like, I think for me there was some sort of relatability even as a little kid of like, okay, you get up in the morning. I was like, how does this kid have time after he gets up in the morning to go like over to some guy's house and play his guitar and then go to school? And then skateboard around the town square a little bit.
Clearly he didn't have time. He was late.
Well, yeah, that's true.
He was late.
I'm going to be late for school.
But that opening really sets it up. And again, it's just perfectly structured to like, here is who Marty McFly is. And these are the things he's interested in. And this sets up everything that he does for the rest of the movie, or, give or take. And then there's, the audition for the talent show with his band, the Pinheads.
Was that your favorite moment?
No.
Did you have one?
These are all my favorite.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the whole movie's your favorite moment.
The whole movie.
The whole movie is
good answer. Good answer.
But honestly, I think the part that impacted me the most is that scene where he meets Doc in the parking lot of the mall, and the trailer opens out, and there's like smoke and fog coming out, and you hear that rum 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 of the engine of the DeLorean, and it comes rolling out of that trailer with the fog and the smoke. The music goes up. and it's this crazy looking,
Oh.
like I didn't know
Mad scientist looking guy.
Yeah, I didn't know that the DeLorean was a real car when I was a kid. I didn't pick up on the whole conversation of, you made a time machine out of a DeLorean? You know, I just thought, oh, this is the time machine. And it wasn't until like I was probably a teenager that I realized, oh, the DeLorean's a real car that existed. But I think that one is that's like a core memory, you know, of like that had an impact on me of seeing that roll out of the fog. And it was such a dramatic entrance.
Have you guys ever been to the mall? Because it's in
it's right out here.
Puente Hills.
Yeah.
Right?
We went there. It was really
So
cool.
you've been there, right?
There's like a little clock that says like Twin Pines Mall on there.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty inside.
Ben, have you?
I think I've driven past it, but I've never like stopped and gone to check it out.
Same. Like I've driven past it because like one of my friends lived really close, and we were bar hopping in the area, and she's like, "Oh, that's the Twin Pines Mall," and I was like, "What?" It was like Back to the Future, and I was like, "Oh my god, wait, here, right here?" And she's like, "Yeah, right there. They filmed the movie.
There's the
right
parking
there.
lot, right?
There's the parking lot." And I was like, "I think there's like I think they declared a Back to the Future Day
Yeah.
that they do every year now at Puente Hills."
Is it
Like-
November 15th?
Oh, yes.
1955.
Yes, I guess so.
It should be.
But yeah, like I've driven past it. I don't think I've ever been there, but like they celebrate it.
Well, and when he's explaining to Marty like all the times that you could go to, and he's like, if you want to do this or witness, or you want to witness the signing of the Declaration of the Independence, and he types in July 4, 1776, and then he's like, or witness the birth of Christ, and he types in December 25, 0000,
Which is totally wrong.
which is incorrect historically, but
Very
still very funny.
Very funny. Art favorite?
Sorry.
I haven't forgotten you, baby.
Thank you. Well, let's see. I love how it's not really a moment because I love a lot of moments, but something I do want to touch upon is the amount of foreshadowing in this movie is is fucking cool. Like you already mentioned, Ben, the Lone Pine Mall, that was really cool detail, and then there's like a bunch of other small details like when they're showing like the title credits where like their actors' names are popping up, and it shows Lea Thompson, and there's like a bottle of booze right there, kind of like foreshadowing her alcohol problem.
Oh, I never noticed that.
And just a bunch of cool things like that. So the amount of foreshadow that's in this movie is, I love it.
Yeah, that's right. He's gonna be mayor. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna
clean the city.
Yeah.
I could run for mayor.
I like the sound of that. So yeah, that was this. I love the foreshadowing in this movie, but as far as scenes go, just that first time he goes back to Hill Valley in the 50s and you hear Mr. Sandman playing, it's just it's a magical kind of moment. Like, oh wow, and like I don't know. I love that scene the most.
And it's so perfect because they mirror like the opening scene when he's in 1985 and he's going through the town square, and then the camera shots, I don't know if they're identical, but they're very similar in the way it kind of reveals the town square, and then you see, okay, this is the same but different. This is the same but 30 years earlier.
Yeah.
And that whole set still exists. That
Backlot
whole
tour,
town square still exists on the Universal backlot here in Hollywood. And
didn't it like part of it burn down?
The clock tower thing.
The clock tower, right?
Oh, no.
They didn't save the clock tower.
Save the clock tower.
Like I think it was like 2009, 2008. I think there was like a fire and like a part of the set burned down, like the clock tower.
Something like that.
They also used the same set for Gremlins.
Okay.
Kingston Falls.
Exactly, the beginning.
Yeah.
That's right there.
They
And
use
it's
the same set.
A very famous set.
Yeah, I remember when I first came to Los Angeles in 2006.
Whoa.
I went to acting school, and it was called the New York Film Academy, Los Angeles.
Whoa.
And they had a contract with Universal Studios, and so I think it was I took a 2-month course, and I think it was every Friday they would bring the film students from the film school, actors, film students, editor students, et cetera, onto the backlot to work on some of their short films that they were doing for class.
That's so cool.
Fun.
And so I remember we would get onto the backlot, and then I think they'd take us on golf carts or some kind of tram or something. Again, this is like 20 years ago. So But they'd take us through the back lot to whatever area we were working on that day. And I remember just riding past the Lion Estates statues, and they were just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't set up. They weren't in front of an open field. They were just like sitting next to a wall on the back lot.
Just like a little prop.
Yeah. It's just like, well,
there.
these are too big to put inside, so we'll store them outside, which is another hilarious thing, because being from the Midwest, you're like, you don't store anything outside.
Yeah, it's gonna weather damage.
I came out here and I'm like, oh, they store everything outside because it rarely rains here.
Yeah.
We live in a desert.
But the sun is what destroys.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it was just funny to ride through there and just be like, oh, there's the actual Lion Estates, you know, and they're not concrete, you know, they're like a wire frame with plaster
styrofoam
or
plaster,
styrofoam or something.
So
like that,
so
yeah.
when you saw them, like, how hard were you nerding out for that?
Very, very hard, rock hard, diamond hard.
Rock hard.
Nice.
What they should have been made out of, but they weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's, I mean, that was just a thrill to me for a kid growing up in, you know, rural Kansas to come out and be on the Universal backlot and see. I saw the clock tower, you know, I saw the Lion Estates signs. It was wild.
I would love to see the clock tower.
That's because you've never been to the backlot, dude.
Yeah,
I feel like as an obligation, as your best friend, I should take you there.
Yeah,
Did you just
haven't.
laugh
Yeah,
at
you
him?
haven't.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't go.
Did
I
you
didn't-
laugh at
I've
him
said it several
calling
times.
himself your best friend?
No, at him saying that he's obligated to take me, and I'm like, but you never have. Like,
Because I didn't know you'd never gone. Now it's like I feel like I'm doing like a Make-A-Wish kind of thing.
I feel like I've told you before that I've
Why are
never
you
been.
instantly taking it as an insult? You never asked.
I didn't know. This is what I gotta deal with.
I don't know. I got to guilt trip him, so he actually takes me.
I just like how he was
I
like,
offered to take
he
you.
was like, you know, as your best friend, and you were like, you know,
If you were my best friend, you would have taken me by now.
token me.
You
You would have
bitch.
token me.
You dirty raggedy bitch.
I'm
Well,
trying-
anywho,
He is
I'm
raggedy.
trying to manipulate him to taking me
Yeah, that's fair.
free.
For free.
no. So, what are some of your favorite moments, Ernie?
Didn't I already say that?
Didn't we?
Johnny
already?
B.
Did you?
Good?
Oh no.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
were
you did.
saying,
Least
we were saying
favorite.
first memories.
No,
Ah.
that was our favorite memory.
No,
Oh,
no.
was that our-
Because
That was
mine
our
was the
favorite
Johnny
moments.
Johnny Be Good movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Someone fucked up here.
Now we're in
I
the
don't
least
know.
favorite.
Least favorite, dude. I don't know, man. I hate saying this every time, but I don't really have a least favorite moment. Because
Honestly, it's acceptable for some of these to say that I have.
It's a
no
fucking perfect
bad
movie.
moments.
Like everything, like
Yeah.
just like Ben touched upon, like everything is there for a purpose. Nothing
Yeah.
is wasted. All the details and the dialogue, even in like in the back, in the mise en scène, you know, in the background and stuff. All those details, like we'll tell you, physicist estate burned down or whatever. That's how you kind of see like how Doc was able to get like his money to fund his experiments
Yeah.
and shit like that.
Well, he also got investments from the Libyans.
Yes.
The Libyans.
We made him was it a fucking bomb out of pinball parts, he says, or whatever?
Oh yeah, I gave him. They wanted a nuclear bomb, but I took the plutonium
Yeah.
and filled it with pinball machine parts.
How did they become friends? I don't fucking know, but that's cool.
But I mean, well, even if there aren't any like parts that you didn't like, how about like just aspects or certain things where you were meant to dislike? Like for okay, so my case, my example, as a kid, I really did not like George. Like I did not. I mean, I love the movie. I
George
all the
McFly.
scenes.
You're my
all the-
density.
I love the movie. I love all the scenes. Like I think it's perfect. But personally, my connection, my relation to the movies, like I didn't like George. Also, I thought Biff was an asshole. Like
Well, yeah,
like, but I mean,
you're
like,
supposed to, but
yeah, like even if you don't have like scenes that you don't like, I don't know, were there aspects? And I didn't like George when I was a kid. I thought he was just weak, pervy, just kind of
Well,
deserved.
he's definitely pervy.
He
And he is.
kind of deserved to be bullied at some point.
he.
It
Well,
wasn't
and-
until I was an adult when, I appreciated, understood how his character was written. Like I understood it better. But as a kid, I didn't know better. I just thought he was just an annoying creepo.
I'll also say Crispin Glover is a very unique taste
No,
as an actor.
I was
He's
absolutely
so cool.
I was absolutely shocked. Like I did not know this. Like he only did one movie.
Yeah,
They
he
had to
wasn't
use
in-
prosthetics for the other one.
Well, and that's why the character is upside down in the second movie because
Oh,
they
it-
were trying to do so much to make him unrecognizable.
and
Yeah.
he sued the studio for that.
He did.
Yeah, I did not know that until
There's
later.
a whole thing about the casting drama with this movie. Like you had
Oh my
Eric
God,
Stoltz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just about to
dude.
bring that up.
Oh,
So-
they
we're gonna have
shot-
we got a whole section about that.
But yeah, so that could be like its own episode on the casting and like the behind the scenes stuff. About
Oh, but
this
we got to
right.
talk about Eric Stoltz soon, though.
Yeah,
We'll talk about him.
we'll talk about Mask in a bit.
But yeah, no, it's a George. I love everything about the movie. Is just George. I wasn't. It took me a while for me to get older and appreciate and understand his character.
And he's a weird
It's-
character.
He's just weird.
This
But
weird kind of wafy. Yes, George McFly. I'm your density.
but it's kind of also like a
I'm
growing
sorry,
up
that was
thing.
good.
Right?
It takes kind of like defeating and becoming courageous to kind of change the kind of character you are, because after he finally stands up to Biff, that huge character change once he gets back and you see, oh, the dad's a badass, he's
Yeah.
rich, like he wrote a novel, like he did think he loved, he got the girl, like he actually deserves a girl this time.
A match
like,
made in space.
oh shit.
No, but that scene when because it wasn't through any kind of manipulation that Marty did, is what I appreciated about it. It was literally like Marty facilitated him and Lorraine getting together, but it was when Biff was trying to basically, assault her.
Yeah.
That you see the look on George's face change and you see the fist ball up and he punches him. That is such a great character change, a
absolutely.
character growth. And then he takes her onto the dance floor and they're playing Earth Angel, and
He's a completely
puts
different person.
Yeah, he puts his hand on her cheek and he kisses her. Oh, it's so great. It's
Yeah.
it's romantic. Men love it. Women love it.
Huh?
Non-binaries love it. Everybody loves it. And that's what the payoff is for the weird ass Crispin Glover version
Yeah.
of George McFly in the first, 80% of the movie.
Yeah.
I also read a thing recently where it was talking about Marty's older brother, and they were like, oh yeah, you think that everybody's better off at the end of Back to the Future than they are at the beginning. But look at Marty's older brother. In the beginning of the movie, he and his dad are looking at the TV, they're laughing, they're having a good time. He just works like an hourly wage, minimum wage job, but he's happy. At the end of the movie, he's in a suit. He's clearly a successful businessman, but he looks depressed.
Stressed out.
Like he's stressed out and depressed. Did you see this thing?
No, but now that you say it, like it makes perfect sense.
Oh.
The other thing that I've seen is, I think it wasn't Comedy Central. Was it College Humor? Somebody did a video where it was two guys like in office cubicles talking, and he's like, hey, what happened to the second Marty? He's like, what are you talking about? Well, the second Marty that takes off in the DeLorean at the end of Back to the Future, when the first Marty comes back to Lone Pine Mall, he sees the DeLorean go off to go back to 1955. What happens to that Marty? And they have this whole discussion about like the way the timelines work, and he'd end up in a different timeline because the Marty from the beginning of the movie is technically in a different timeline at the end of the movie. And he has replaced that timeline's Marty, and that timeline Marty goes to a different timeline, or he's destroyed in the process of going back. Like, it's really funny and it's really heady.
Once you get into the details, which movie is it? The one where it starts off with a disclaimer that says it's a time travel movie. Just enjoy it. Don't try to poke holes into it. I feel like that's like one of those things. Like every single time movie, just don't think about it and enjoy it.
And that's the problem with time traveling movies, because that at some point you're gonna be start thinking about shit like that.
The logistics of it.
And I think Back to the Future, like during those three movies, I think Marty made like 7 or 8 different timelines. There's like 4 different DeLoreans and shit like that. It's pretty fucking crazy.
There's only, and I'm sure I've mentioned it to you, Art, before. There's only one time travel movie that I've ever watched that is just perfectly satisfying and completely. It's the perfect time travel movie.
Time Traveler's Wife.
No.
Oh, okay. Then which one?
Primer.
What is Primer?
It's called Primer.
Primer.
It's the most
How do I know
perfect time travel movie I've ever seen. I think there's been like college like physicians like that actually broke down the movie. And they're like
physicists.
I
was like, not
all the alcohol's
physicians.
kicking in.
You said,
Yeah, like
We are drinking to a decade.
Yeah, we're drinking to the decade. Yeah, no, they tried to check it down. They're like, no, this is pretty sound time travel like logic. Like they perfectly close it. It doesn't seem like it's just the perfect
In a
time
single
travel.
timeline?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's perfect. Just watch it. It's called Primer. It's kind of indie. First person. I wouldn't say found footage, but definitely kind of like camera footage.
I'm
Like
trying to remember,
it's
'cause
really good.
There was a time travel movie that we on the Con Guy, we interviewed the director of it.
Ooh.
This was several years ago. This was probably 21 or 22. And it was a time travel movie, but I don't remember what it was called off the top of my head. If you'd like to check it out, go to theconguy.com and or our YouTube page.
I gotta do better. I gotta be better at plugging.
well, I mean,
You gotta have something to plug first.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts, baby. That hurts.
Soon.
butt plugs.
Huh?
Wow.
We're getting sloppy now.
So anyway, Back to the Future.
Yes, back, but to the future.
But
All right,
To the
I think we're
future.
still in our least favorite moments, right? So
Yeah.
oh yeah, you were talking about you didn't like George.
I just don't like George. But yeah, and he said, Art said he didn't have one.
I don't
Ben,
I don't have
you don't
moments
have
from
any?
this movie where I'm like, ugh, I hated that part. I wish it wasn't in the movie. I just really, honestly, it's kind of the same as you guys. It's like the parts of the movie that made me feel bad were because they were designed to make me feel bad.
Designed
Right.
that way, yeah.
When he's playing guitar and he looks at his hand and his hand starts disappearing because Biff is taking Lorraine away. And,
Oh,
you know, or whatever is happening in that scene, like because his parents are not gonna get together and he's disappearing and that sort of thing. Or when Doc gets shot, you're like, oh my! Like the first time you see that, you're like, oh my god, Doc got shot again. You know,
yeah.
and so that can be heartbreaking because you're invested in this character or whatever. But really, as far as a moment in the movie where I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't need to be there, doesn't exist in this movie because again, structurally, it's a perfect movie.
And then the amount of
perfect
highs
script.
and lows in there are so good. Like
Yeah.
every time you think they got it, something else happens. Like
Yeah.
perfect example when they're trying to get the clock tower connected, connected, and he connects and oh cool. Then like it gets stuck to the tree.
Yeah,
and
the
then
tree
all-
branch falls down, and when they're in the storm, he gets everything hooked up, and then the tree branch falls down.
Right,
and
yeah.
Unplugs it, and he has to climb back up. That's that iconic.
And you're like,
scene.
hurry up. And like
Yeah.
you feel the tension, your butt cheeks are clenching. Like, is he gonna do it in time?
Well, and on the other side, Marty's in the DeLorean, and he's lined up to do the thing, and then
The car stops working.
well, the car stops working, but then he's like, oh,
Typical delivery.
Doc tore up my letter that I gave to him about how he's gonna get shot, and wait. I just wish I had more time. Wait, time. I have a time machine. I've got all the time in the world,
Yeah.
I need to tell you about the future.
What?
Just that whole thing. So, yeah, I also just wanted to add to that. That's really cool. And going back to the foreshadowing, that branch that the thing gets stuck on, it's that same branch that Marty kind of like swipes away in the beginning, right when he's talking to like right before the clock tower lady gives him the flyer. He kind of swats at a branch. It's that same one that gets stuck on the cable.
Wow, I don't think I remember that.
Are you saying like physically it's the same prop they used in both scenes, or metaphorically, story-wise, it's supposed to be the same branch, quote unquote?
It is. That's the branch that the cable gets stuck on.
Right. But you're saying physically they use the same prop, or metaphorically in the story, it's the same branch? That's what I'm asking.
It's the same branch.
I guess it's the same
Yeah.
branch then.
It's the same branch.
Story
in the story. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So in the beginning of the movie, he swipes that branch, and that same branch comes back and
Swipes them back.
swipes him back.
So the branch falls off in 1955 and stays in the town square until 1985 when Marty McFly sweeps it off.
It's the same tree.
Same tree.
Well, the branch wouldn't be there anymore.
That's what I'm
since-
saying. That's why I'm confused.
But everything changes. The timeline changes because when he swipes it,
I guess
he
that's
still
true.
hasn't gone back in time.
Oh, solid point.
There you go.
Yeah. So if
Thank
you were
you.
to so now towards the end of the movie, that branch probably doesn't exist anymore. Timelines is so annoying.
Ugh.
And what you're referencing earlier was Austin Powers, where he Or he was like, don't think too much about it. Just sit back.
Oh yeah, is
Yeah.
that The Spy Who Shagged Me
That's
when
right.
he goes back
Yeah.
to the
Yes,
past? That's
that was
Just
right.
don't think about it too much.
Well, I think we're ready to move on because we can spend like all day talking about our favorite parts of the movie. But I mean, is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up real quick?
The whole movie, I love it.
Fantastic. All right, let's move on to trivia.
Ooh, trivia!
All right, boys.
Oh, wait, I need my buzzer.
Get
Me
your
and my-
buzzers out.
Let me get my dead cat.
Let's get my buzzers. Hold
All right,
up,
I
hold
want to.
up.
I don't want to intimidate anybody, but I'll be honest. I feel like Ben's gonna kill it this time.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm sorry. All right, Art. Let me hear your buzzer.
Stop it.
It's working.
Ben, your buzzer.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait, well, okay. What are you guys' buzzers? Like
Mine is a
Mine's
peacock.
Mine's a kitty.
a kitty?
Yeah.
All right,
Cock and pussy.
you guys are you guys are ready?
Hold on. Let me turn off my display shut off. Like, I'm going to put this at 5 minutes because last time I tried to buzz in and
It turned off on
my
you.
screen was locked.
Worked for me.
Okay, here we go.
Now remember, guys, no buzzing until I read all three.
Finish.
What if
the-
I'm buzzed now?
That's a different kind of buzzed.
Okay.
I'm way beyond that buzz level now.
Wow.
All right, here we go. So first question. What was the name of Doc's dog in 1955? Copernicus, Einstein, or Archimedes? Ben?
The dog was originally named Copernicus,
For-
but in 1985 it was changed to
I-
Einstein.
Okay, so I said 1955.
Yeah.
Copernicus.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get it.
No, you can't buzz in.
Copernicus.
You can't buzz in after I've already answered. I answered first.
All
bitch.
right, next question. Who was originally casted as Marty McFly? Ricky Schroeder, Corey Feldman, or Eric Stoltz?
Eric Stoltz, and it's cast, not casted.
The past tense of cast is cast.
I heard Ben first.
I'm
That
sorry.
we buzzed in at the same time. I'll give that one to the detective.
Thank you.
You guys are really getting snippy here.
I'm
Okay.
nothing if not generous.
And I gave you the last one last time.
So there you go. Turnaround's fair play.
What is the name of Marty's band? Mouse Rat, the Pinheads, or the Be Goods? I don't know who that was.
I think it was.
Hit the button once, Art.
I think it was
sorry.
art, but
Once.
I also know the answer.
Pinheads.
Okay, all
We
right.
are the Pinheads. Consequently, we didn't mention this yet, which is also fun. Is they're playing the power. The Pinheads are playing "The Power of Love" by Huey Lewis in the news,
Yeah,
and the teacher that stops them and says, "You're just too darn loud," is Huey Lewis.
is Huey Lewis.
Is
Oh, yeah,
played
that's
by
right.
Huey Lewis, which
Yeah.
is a really great little like nod to. That's a great little irony.
And to add to that fun fact, the blonde guitar player was Michael J. Fox's guitar coordinator who taught him how to play guitar for the movie.
Oh, nice.
Ah, nice.
Booyah.
Okay. So next question is, which TV show was Lorraine's family watching in 1955? I Love Lucy, The Jackie Gleason Show, or The Honeymooners? That's Ben.
The Honeymooners.
Yes, correct.
What do you mean you've seen this one before? It's brand
It's
new.
brand new.
All right. Fun fact about that. They're watching the same episode both in 1985 and 1955.
And yeah, that's the one that George and Marty's brother, whose name escapes me,
Yeah.
are watching and laughing at in the beginning, which I mentioned earlier about how happy his brother is in the first timeline and not in the second.
Yeah, not in the second
That's
one.
why Marty says I've seen this one before because
Yeah.
that's what we're watching.
All right. Next question is, what is the name of George McFly's book? A Match Made in Space, It Came from Pine Ridge, or Love Beyond the Stars? Ben.
A Match Made in Space.
No fair, you already referenced it.
Exactly.
I did. We also already referenced Eric Stoltz
And the Pinheads.
and the Pinheads. So
God damn it.
All right, next one. That's why I said Ben. I feel like Ben already knows most of these. Next one. True or false? The band Van Halen was used by Marty to wake up George.
I believe it was Eruption by Eddie Van Halen. Yes? No?
No.
Oh,
Art.
What?
True or false?
It-
The band Van Halen was
Well,
used by
I
Marty
said true,
to wake
so
up.
the clear answer is
George.
false. Art, it goes to you.
False.
Yeah, you get it. But so
Who
the-
was
It was Van Halen, wasn't it?
Yes and no. So
Well, it
this
wasn't
is
Eruption.
kind of a trick question.
Oh,
so
fuck you.
So technically, the band Van Halen said no. They refused to have any of their songs played on the movie. But Eddie Van Halen said, "You know what? I'll play a lick that you can record
Okay.
and we'll put it on. So if you look at the tape that he pops in, it doesn't say Van Halen, it says Eddie Van Halen.
So it wasn't Eruption, which is one of Eddie Van Halen's like famous
Wasn't
like guitar
Eruption?
solo things, but that is credited to the band Van Halen. So I get it.
The
I get
band
it.
Van Halen.
Just
was
like
it.
how
So
Van
it was,
Halen-
it was Eddie's lick. It wasn't.
Just like how Van Halen wrote the Beat It guitar riff.
So technically, it wasn't the band Van Halen, but it was Eddie Van Halen. Yes.
Stop it.
Okay. Okay. Next question. How late does Doc set his clocks to? An hour, 35 minutes, or 25 minutes? All right.
25 minutes.
Yes.
I wasn't sure on that one. I thought it was 25, but I was second guessing myself. So good job, Art.
All right. The next ones I feel like get a little bit harder. All right. So the next question is, how many times was the script rejected? 27 times, 44 times, or 63 times? Art.
27.
No. It was a.
I was gonna say 44.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't buzz, so that doesn't count.
Well, what?
44.
Damn it.
It was 44. Yeah, 44 times. In the original draft, what was supposed to be the time machine? A refrigerator, a reclining chair, or Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine replica? Art.
Refrigerator.
Yes.
They used that later in the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say, is that the?
They didn't want to use refrigerator because they thought kids would climb in to the refrigerator
Well, that's.
and get trapped in it. So they had to take out the refrigerator.
I
idea.
wonder if that's any kind of inspiration for Bill and Ted with the phone booth.
Ooh.
Yeah, actually, I think so. Because they wanted to do a car, but they're like, oh, it's too much like the DeLorean, so let's do a phone booth. And then after they made like, oh, shit, Doctor Who uses a phone booth. So,
Right. But it's a police cool box.
yeah.
I do love Doctor Who. Do you guys watch Doctor Who?
Knock, knock.
I do.
Who is there?
Knock, knock.
Don't blink.
Can someone answer the door? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, the last question. Now, this one I found interesting. It's not just, this is the whole series. If equipped with a time odometer to measure the passage through time, how many years would the DeLorean have covered?
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Wait, ready? 380 years, 570 years, or 473 years?
B.
B? 570?
Yes.
Correct. How did
Yeah.
you know that?
I fucking guessed, dude.
Well, because I'm thinking, okay, so it
Like if you
goes
count through the whole entire series.
through the whole
yeah.
entire series,
Three fell too short.
it goes from 85 to 55. That's 30 years. 55 back to 85. That's another 30. So that's 60. And then in the second movie, you go from 85 to 2015. That's another 30. So that's 90 years. Then you go from 2015 all the way back to 1955. So that's another 60 years. So that's 150. Yeah.
Bro, I've been drinking. I'm not going to do math right now.
And then
I'll do math.
from 1955 to 1885, that is 70. Is that right? Yeah, that's 70 years. So that's 220. And then from 1885 to 1985, that's another 100. So that's 420. What was the correct answer?
570.
I'm missing a couple of trips in there because then
I
Biff
got a
steals
smartphone.
it, and there's technically 3 DeLoreans at play at various points.
Yeah.
4.
So 4. There's 4 DeLoreans at play at various points.
Yes, bet I solved this in milliseconds, okay? Yes, we got it.
So yeah, so that makes sense if you're counting all the DeLorean. 'Cause one individual DeLorean, you could say, traveled. I don't know. Oh, but then there were technically 2 trips to 1885 because he took one DeLorean back to 1885, but Doc also got sent back to 1885 in the Lightning Strike DeLorean. Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much is your head hurting right now?
Oh, not at all. It's very excited.
Oh,
I have a brain boner.
I can see it.
I love math. I love math to a disturbing degree.
I feel like you're not joking.
I'm not.
Okay.
That's the thing. Oh, you know how much I love Google Sheets? Oh, I love Google Sheets.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
Oh, shit.
I should have those on my bed. Google Sheets.
There you go.
Waka waka. Anyway, that was from a previous show.
But yeah, that wraps it up. Oh, points. Let's see.
That was it?
Yeah, that was a 10. I just did 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Art 7 points.
Great. Well, no, it
What?
really? That doesn't
Yeah.
seem right. I think he got more than I did.
No, surprisingly, yeah, no, you kept stealing them.
Well, it's been fun.
You got how many times the script got rejected? The refrigerator.
I got how many times the script got?
570?
He answered first, but I answered correctly. He said 27. I said 44.
Oh no, you're right.
Okay, I'm gonna beat you up outside, Journey.
You're so
I'm gonna beat you guys off.
I'm gonna
No, thank
beat
you.
you both off with my bare hands. You want to beach off? Anyway,
Okay, and then I got a few other fun facts. So
fun facts.
So the part that you guys remember when the doc like put the brain analyzer on
Yeah.
Marty? So it turns out like a lot of that stuff was like accurate.
Right.
Yeah, did you guys ever hear about that?
I did.
Like the experiments.
When he first met Marty in the past?
He has like the little colander in his head or whatever.
Do you know what this means? It means that this damn thing doesn't work at all.
It absolutely did work though, because like so the first one, which is you've come here from a great distance. So Marty traveled 30 years in the past.
Mhm.
The other one was, you want me to buy a subscription to Saturday Evening Post. Turns out Marty earlier that day finds out the date from an issue of Saturday Evening Post.
Oh.
The other one is, you want me to make a donation to the Coast Guard Youth Auxiliary. And Marty explains that his orange vest is to Stella Baines by saying that it's Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So earlier that day said the same thing. So that brain analyzer was pretty accurate.
Oh, that's fucking cool. I'd never noticed that.
I didn't know that either.
It's random connections, but it is working because Doc is receiving these images. He's just not interpreting them
Yeah.
the way they actually are.
Next fun fact is so Michael J. Fox, most of this was like shot at night.
Yeah, because it was in between Family Ties.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because he almost didn't do this movie because he was contracted to Family Ties, but they told him, I was like, yeah, you can do the movie, but he cannot.
At first, he was their first choice, and then it was like shut down because of Family Ties, and that's why they got Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
And then they were shooting with Eric Stoltz, and they're like, this guy is not it.
No, he's an asshole from what I've read.
Well,
like,
and he was also like taking it very seriously, and he was not picking
Super
up
method.
on the levity cues of
Yeah.
like he was playing everything extremely straight.
Yeah.
And it just was not a fun performance
No.
like the character was supposed to be.
he wanted to be called Marty the whole entire time.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yeah.
He wanted everybody to refer to him as Marty.
So when he got fired and they told Christopher Lloyd, he's like, who the hell is Eric?
You mean Marty?
You mean Marty?
Did you ever see his scenes?
No, I didn't.
You can look
they're
them up on
actually out there?
YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like it's the same kind of shots, the
Yeah.
same scenes, but it's not Michael. It's Eric. And
Yeah.
A lot of the shots in the movie that Marty's not in
Uh-huh.
are from the first shoot before they brought Michael J. Fox in, because they could use those.
Yeah.
But it's just weird to think, oh yeah, the scene of just Doc, like he's the only one in the frame. They shot that with Eric Stoltz, and then they added in the Michael J. Fox
Yeah.
shots later.
and that whole beginning scene where he's with the guitar amp, that's all stand-in until you see like Michael J. Fox's face come out from like the little rubble.
Yeah.
That's the stand-in.
And I was always curious, why the hell was that guitar so tiny?
And the amps are so big.
It was just such, I mean, I think it was obviously a visual gag of like, oh, tiny guitar, huge ass amps.
Yeah.
But is that a real guitar? Can I buy that somewhere? Can I buy a
Probably.
tiny guitar like
I
that?
don't see why not.
Yeah.
I
Some
mean,
people like to play
technically with an
tiny
electric
guitars.
guitar, you don't need to have anything bigger than the electronic components that are inside of it.
That's
So,
true.
You
You
know,
get that guitar, like those little mini half stacks that you can take around, like those little portable guitar amps.
dude.
Just perform with that on Santa Monica or
you have
something. There
no
you go.
idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Let's form a band. We're gonna do that.
So much fun. You already
Okay.
got the guitars. So during my research and stuff, I found out that like turns out that in real life, Biff, total sweetheart. He's
He
the
is.
biggest teddy bear in the world.
I think he's got a cameo,
Like-
and you can get videos from him.
Oh,
You know
Cameo,
Cameo,
the app.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's got a
okay.
cameo on the Cameo app,
Yeah.
and you can submit.
Have him call me.
requests
Have him
to
call me a butthead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure he would.
yeah, so I read that like he was very apprehensive about doing the role of Biff because the dude was traumatized as a kid. He was bullied a lot,
Oh wow.
and so he almost didn't want to do the role of a bully because he's like, I got traumatized by bullies as a
Yeah.
kid, and so like when he watched George McFly's performance, Crispin Glover,
Yeah.
he felt really emotional because he's an amazing actor and he's playing this bullied role, and it's like he's playing it so well, it just dug up like stuff.
All
PTSD.
these- yeah.
So when he was doing the roles with Eric Stoltz, Stoltz was like method was very like aggressive with him. Like during the
Oh, wow.
diner scene,
yeah.
like he kept telling him, I was like, dude, back off. You're like hurting me. The way you're like grabbing me and slamming me, I was like, back off, dude. Like you're hurting me.
Yeah.
Like I think he almost broke his collarbone.
Oh Jesus.
Hearing this from Biff saying, "Oh, this guy was, I'm supposed to be the bully, and he's the one bullying me on set." Like this is crazy, and he had plans on like getting revenge for because he knew later on in the script he gets to punch Marty in the stomach.
Right.
He was gonna punch him for reals as payback,
He's gonna throw a potato at him.
but Eric still got fired, and so he never got his revenge.
Well,
But he was ready to get revenge.
it's interesting to think about that because we can look at the movie now as it is, and
Yeah.
it's a fun, I guess I could say lighthearted movie in a lot of senses. And you think about this idea of Stoltz coming in and playing it really method and really serious and, really dramatic.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? This is Back to the Future. But,
No,
when they were filming Back to the Future didn't exist yet.
true.
Like nobody really knew how is this gonna,
Like, what's the final product?
what's
gonna
the
be?
final product gonna look like exactly.
yeah,
So
you shape it as it's being produced.
I can't quite put that judgment on Eric Stoltz for being like way too serious for Back to the Future, but at
No.
the same time, I'm like, fuck you, Eric Stoltz. Like he's a good actor. He's a
Yeah.
good actor, but I'm just like, fuck you for like.
I
But
don't-
also, like, thank you for being so fucking in your head about it that you got fired and Michael J. Fox got put in there because
Mhm.
Michael J. Fox is chef's kiss.
yeah, everybody said like the whole set completely changed when Michael J. Fox joined.
Now, do you think in a different timeline, Eric Stoltz finished the Back to the Future movies?
In a different timeline, yes. And they were not nearly as excited. They
Yeah.
didn't have Back to the Future 2 in that timeline because the first
part one
wasn't
sucks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
oh, yeah.
Because it was like a heavy drama.
It's Shakespeare with a time machine.
Yeah, exactly. So in that timeline, there is no Back to the Future 2 or 3. Speaking of
Uh-oh.
sequels,
Sequel talk.
That's where we're at. Yes,
Yes, that was quite the segue thing.
right?
perfect.
So, Back to the Future 2. I loved it. I thought it was really good. Nowhere near as good as part 1, but I think
3
it
is the one you hate, right?
I was going to get to that, dude. Can you just, all right?
I'm
Dude,
sorry.
all
I'm
right.
I'm trying to throw in the fact of how well I know my friend.
Best friend. So, part 2 is really good. I love all the callbacks and the revisits to the parts of, part 1. And then we see it's our introduction to the coolest thing in any movie aside from a lightsaber, the fucking hoverboards. That was so
Dude.
cool.
Technically, it kind of exists.
No, it does not. So
Yes,
Not
it
really, no. I mean, they call them hoverboards, but they still have wheels. They still have contact with the ground. You're not
Yeah.
actually hovering. Nothing hovers except for the amphibious craft that the U.S. military uses, but that's still fans that blow air underneath of it. And that's not like,
And there's a water one too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
so yes, the hoverboards are amazing. I love part 2, and part 3 was. I only need to see it one time. I don't need to see a fucking flying time traveling train.
I kind of enjoyed it.
I don't like it.
I enjoyed it.
I absolutely love Back to the Future 3.
The Clint Eastwood stuff was
I
just
love
great.
Back to the Future
That was
3.
so great.
And I think part of it is that I grew up, like my dad loved Westerns. And so I grew up loving Westerns. I love Westerns still.
Oh.
And I love Back to the Future. So this is like, oh, we took Back to the Future and made it a Western. I'm all in 10,000%.
Okay, so I can
Yeah.
see the appeal in that. So that makes sense.
It really opened the gateway for sci-fi western.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then we got Firefly and
Cowboys versus aliens.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say the blockbuster Cowboys versus Aliens.
I love that one.
I liked that one. It's hilarious if you listen to Harrison Ford talk about Cowboys versus Aliens or Cowboys and Aliens. Is it Cowboys and Aliens?
I think it's and aliens.
Yeah,
and aliens. Yeah,
because it's a play off the word Cowboys and Indians, but it's Cowboys and Aliens. Anyway,
Aliens, yeah.
if you hear Harrison Ford talk about that, he's just like, "Oh Jesus, that movie," you know, like.
But I mean, he was already prepping for that movie when he was basically Han Solo.
Yeah, there you go.
He was a space cowboy.
But Back to the Future 2. So when I was a kid, we had Back to the Future on video cassette, taped off of TV, of course. And then TNT, for whatever reason, when I was a kid, it seemed like they would play Back to the Future 3 once a week. You know, like, I don't know if that's literally what was happening, but it seemed like that in my memory. And Back to the Future 2 was the one that would not get as much playtime on TV. And so that wasn't the one that was very exotic to me. It was mysterious. And I, for a long time, was like, Back to the Future 2 is my favorite because I've only seen half of it one time. You know, like it was so like mysterious to me. So I was instantly like enthralled with it. And I still am, to be honest. Like going to the imaginative future of 2015, which is now 10 years in the past from the recording of this podcast.
Woof.
And just there are some funny things in there. Like it was like, oh, the Chicago Cubs won the World Series over Miami because at the time Miami didn't have a pro baseball team. They had the Florida Marlins. But now the Florida Marlins are the Miami Marlins. So it's kind of interesting. And I don't think the Cubs did win a World Series until around that time, because they hadn't won one and
almost declared almost like foretold the future.
So there were those things, but one thing about Back to the Future 2 is one thing my wife and I quote to each other all the time is when he's like, hey, you should know, McFly, hoverboards don't work on water unless you got power.
They start laughing.
And Bree and I will say, unless you got power to each other, like at least once a week, if not more often than
It's
that.
a good line.
And it's just in reference to the most random things. If it needs something with power, like if you need to plug something in, unless you got to work, unless you got power.
Also, Back to the Future 2 had way more references and like product placement.
Oh yeah.
Like Pizza Hut, Jaws 19,
yeah,
Nike self-lacing shoes. Didn't they actually make those real? Like
they made them, but I think they had like elastic laces on them because there's not actually, I mean, like you could probably have one now, but like it's too expensive to put a machine that self-laces the shoes.
Self-laces the shoes. I know they recreated the shoe, but not the self-lacing
right.
part.
Yeah, that.
I think it was just a design.
No, I think they actually tried to make self-lacing shoes.
Oh, okay.
I think they tried.
It was probably cost prohibitive, I'd assume.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that one's fun because you have this kind of imaginative future and like Biff has turned Hill Valley into Atlantic City essentially. And, because he's become rich off of this almanac, but as you were saying, Journey, earlier, you go back then to the original 1955 storyline and then Marty's there, but it's also the Marty from the first movie. So they're in the same timeline at that point. And then there's that whole phone call. And I don't know why this sticks in my brain, but it's always like, Doc, he's on. No, it's not a phone call. It's a walkie-talkie. He's like, Doc, Biff's guys are here and they're going to jump me. And he's like, then get out of there. He's like, not me, the me that's on stage playing Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
And so then that was such a great revisit because you know what happens in the original movie. And now there's this whole thing of what's going on behind the scenes of also Marty trying to keep himself safe in the first movie from the goons in the second. It's just fun. And then, you have the whole, the cliffhanger ending, which is great, which is it's the storm and Doc is flying off in the future DeLorean or the future modified DeLorean and it gets struck by lightning and it disappears. And the flag kind of rope falls down. And then
the kite rope.
And then like this USPS guy drives up.
Perfect timing. Like absolute perfect. He was like, did you not just see that shit happen?
Well, and that's why he's like, a few of us had a bet going at the office if you'd actually be here because it told us to deliver this to you at this exact time on this exact date.
Western Union too, right?
Yeah.
It was-
It's
that's
Western Union.
Union.
That's
There
what
we
it is.
Western Union.
And he's like, it's in the rain, and he's got a fedora and a trench coat.
What a
It's, like,
mysterious
really
looking dude.
mysterious. And that's great. And he's like, Doc's alive. He's in the Old West, but he's alive. And then at the end of that, it says to be continued, which I think it says at the end of the first one too, if I'm not correct. Does it say to be continued?
Yes.
I think so.
Later on,
because it
Not-
doesn't.
yeah.
Because at the end of Back to the Future 3, it says the end.
I think I read somewhere where they added it on to the VHS.
Maybe
stuff.
that happened.
I think I read something like that. That
'Cause
it was
it's-
added on later.
It's like adding A New Hope into the first Star Wars movie. And that sort of thing. Yeah, so Back to the Future 2 was always very exotic and mysterious to me because I hadn't seen it as often. Back to the Future 3, I had seen over and over and over again, but I still love it because I love a Western. I still refer to the actress who plays Clara Clayton. She's in a ton of stuff now, and she's doing great. She's got a great career. I don't remember her real name off the top of my head.
Mary Steenburgen or
Yeah,
something like that?
but every time I see her, I'm like, oh, Clara Clayton.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Step
you're
Brothers.
yeah, exactly. So, you know,
God, yeah.
it absolutely, you know, Back to the Future 3 is definitely, definitely one of my favorite parts of the trilogy, but I love the whole thing. And I did mention this to you beforehand, but I go to this event called Wasteland Weekend every year, and we have a running gag of, maybe you weren't here when I was telling this, maybe you were in the bathroom.
I was peeing.
But we have a running gag of how much we love Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And there's another guy who talks about how much he hates Back to the Future 3.
Specifically 3.
Specifically 3.
Yeah.
But it's all a joke. But it's like, Back to the Future 3 is awesome. Back to the Future 3 sucks. And so we have this running gag out there for no reason other than it just happened to come up in conversation and
Just
grew
fun.
from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the sequels. If I was forced to watch one movie for the rest of my life, it would be the first one. You know, if it
It's
was
a good
like,
choice.
If it was like you have your choice of all 3 Back to the Future movies and you can only watch one, and it's the only movie you can watch for the rest of your life, it would be Back to the Future, the first one.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I feel like you can't just watch one. Like it's either a marathon or don't watch it. That's how I feel.
I'll
Like,
sit down and watch 3.
Yeah, I watch all 3. Like,
No. I mean, I'll sit
you'll
down and
watch
watch part 3
by itself.
by itself.
How
Because
are
I already
you-
know what
How
happens.
are you guys friends?
I don't know.
I don't know. Force is unseen, I guess.
I just,
I
love all of it.
You know
I
that Christopher Lloyd said he would love to do another sequel where him and Marty go back to Rome, ancient Rome.
I
He's
feel
down
like
for it.
Bill and Ted covered that
Yeah,
with
so do I.
Socrates.
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 But yeah, imagine a part 4 where they go back to ancient Rome.
Well, it's not gonna happen as long as the creators are still alive. So they have this like little thing in their contract where there will be no remakes, no sequels, no prequels, so long as they're
Really?
alive. Yeah.
Unless they, unless they come out and do it, like Zemeckis and whomever.
Was there a cartoon?
Yeah, there was a cartoon. I used to watch that when I was a
Yeah?
kid. That was fun.
That's interesting. Where did that place?
I
Was it canon?
I don't know if it was canon
No,
necessarily. I
probably
think
not.
it was just a Saturday morning cartoon because I remember watching it as a kid and it would be
Yeah.
like the Beetlejuice cartoon, the Back to
Yeah.
the Future cartoon,
Yeah.
Tiny Toons, like that sort of thing. And Batman the
Hmm.
animated series or something.
Yeah,
But
I remember there being a cartoon. Never
they had the
watched it.
train in the cartoon. They had the train and they would use that to travel through time.
Oh.
And, fix problems or whatever. I don't remember anything specific. I just remember I used to watch it as a kid.
And of course the hard ass video game for Nintendo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Shit was
that.
like impossible. Dude.
Never played it. No.
It sucked.
I don't know. I feel like some video game, movie video games were just way too complicated.
Yes.
Way too hard for no reason. Like,
Yep. Like Home Alone. That shit was very hard.
They just wanted to make a tie-in,
Lion
and it was
King.
like people that didn't really know how to make a good video game.
I think
They
we
knew
talked-
how to make a video game, just not a good
not
one.
a
It
good
was just
one.
a quick like cash grab. I think we talked about this in the Goonies episode already.
Yeah, cash grabbing stuff. Yeah.
About like bad video game movie adaptations or whatever.
Huh.
But yeah, okay, cool, guys. I think that wraps it up for the sequel talk. I guess now the final question. Has Back to the Future aged well after 40 years of living rent-free in our heads?
So definitely, I think this movie is in the 100 movies to watch in before you die. Like it's in that list, right?
Has to be.
Yeah,
I
I'm pretty
imagine
sure.
so.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's like it's a must-watch movie before you die. It's top 100. Like it's. We talked about how the script is analyzed and used as an example as perfect script writing. Like it's definitely it's an example of what perfect filmmaking is about.
Different movie.
Sorry.
I don't.
It took me a second to place that, and I was like, "Oh,
Nice. Here's my thing. I don't know if you took a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha kid and you sat them down and said, let's watch this movie, and they watch Back to the Future. I don't know how much it would affect them or relate to them, or they would relate to it. I think as a film, yes, it definitely holds up. For all the reasons that Journey just mentioned.
oh."
Like, the structure and the acting and
Talking about like relatability to a newer generation.
Yeah, for
younger generation. Yeah.
for me as somebody who grew up on this, absolutely. I'll go back and watch this all the time, but I also have to understand that that's not necessarily the case for everyone. And so I don't know if like a Gen Zer or a Gen Alpha kid, like if I show this to a 17-year-old kid, would he relate to it? Maybe he would, or she. But it also comes back to that idea of like, I'll watch this movie assuming that it takes place in 1985.
Yeah.
Instead of I need to relate to this from a 2025, perspective. And I think if you do that, even if you're like a 17-year-old kid now, you might look at it and be like, oh yeah, the experience of a 17-year-old kid, there are relatable things there. But I don't know.
I think there's a lot of relatable things there. The whole movie, Marty and George deal with the fear of being rejected. There's a lot of self-esteem issues that they have to go through,
Yep.
and the core story is that it's a boy trying to save his dad. So I think there's a lot of more emotional depth in that. A lot of like I mentioned, like self-esteem stuff. So I think if you look at it more than just like, oh, it's a movie from the 80s, whatever, it's
Sure.
actually a lot of good stuff in there. So
I'm actually curious to know, have you watched this movie with your son?
yes, how
did you react
We
to this?
watched it a few weeks ago, and he watched the whole thing, and he was really into it.
Okay. Did he say what parts he liked, or did you see what he reacted the most to, like in the movie?
So definitely towards the end where they're trying to hook the DeLorean onto the like the wire for the thunder,
Yeah.
the lightning. He was really into that, and he was like, "Are they gonna make it? And so it was. But yeah, the fact that he watched the whole thing without like getting up or doing something else, I thought that was pretty cool. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's interesting is I didn't think of this until just now. There is a movie that came out, I think a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, called Totally Killer. Did you watch this movie?
I absolutely love that movie so much.
I heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Kiernan Shipka,
Sabrina.
Kiernan Shipka, who is a rising starlet. She I think
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina, well, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, specifically.
Got to be
was the
specific,
title.
yeah.
But and she came up on Mad Men, which is where I first learned about her. She played
I still haven't seen that.
She played Dawn's daughter on Mad Men as a
Oh.
very little girl.
Really?
But that movie is about a girl who travels from, the current era of 2020, whatever, back to the 1980s. And they reference Back to the Future. And that movie is really kind of a perfect blend of Scream and Back to the Future. So if you like those two movies, I highly recommend it.
Yo, no.
but
that is the perfect way to explain that movie.
There you go. But she
Screaming
does,
Back to the Future.
even in the movie, she says, like, she meets some cops and she's like, oh, I'm dealing with this thing of like, did you ever see the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah.
And one of the cops is like, oh no, I wanted to see it, but I never did.
Like it just came out too. Like it was in theaters at that time.
Yeah. And so, I do kind of amend my statement earlier because I think there is a way that, obviously, as Detective was saying, you can relate to this, the son is trying to save his father and save his own life, really. But I'm like, oh, are the kids gonna understand it if there aren't tablets and cell phones?
Oh.
But yeah, I think they are.
Dude.
I should give the kids more credit.
That's what, yeah. Give
I'm
them
a
more-
40-year-old man. These
Give-
kids.
Giving them more credit is true because, like, just like that part, just like that scene where she says, "Have you seen Back to the Future?" And she's what, Gen Z? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
She
I would
represents
imagine.
Gen Z. That reminds me of Civil War. Captain America Civil
Mm.
War, when you first see Spider-Man and he's like, "Hey guys," it's like there's this scene
Really
in this really old movie,
Empire Strikes Back.
and he's talking about Empire Strikes Back. So
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like, especially like Gen Z culture, they still appreciate that stuff.
Sure.
They'll go back and be like, they understand true good cinema. So give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure they watched it on their own. And
Yeah, Ben, you jerk.
I'm just a
No,
grumpy
I'm-
old man, you
I was like, no,
guys.
I'm
No,
going
me-
off of
me
your.
too.
You kids
understand.
get off my lawn.
You want me to get off?
My lawn.
Oh.
On your lawn.
Oh.
Get off on your lawn.
On the bush.
Let me watch. What?
Sorry.
that giant
I don't-
skeleton. That giant skeleton's got like little
No.
cameras on the eyeballs.
Yes.
And
we
they
do have a security camera out front.
on the skeleton.
Not on the skeleton,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. No.
So you'll see me rolling the dice there then?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
What the hell has this podcast turned into?
I don't know. We've been drinking. too
Great,
much.
Scott.
This is
Great
This is,
Scott.
this
Yeah.
is great
Oh, that's
Scott.
another favorite moment of when Marty and Doc are in the high school, and Marty goes, "Great Scott," and Doc goes, "Yeah, this is pretty heavy." Like they
switch
reverse
roles.
their
Yeah.
their references.
Oh, is that that's in part one?
Is that in part one? Maybe it's in
No.
part
no,
two.
that's in part
No,
two.
that's
Oh, it's in part two. Well, yeah, I was thinking they were
It's
in the
part
high
two.
school in the 1950s, but that is in part two.
What
when they-
what I thought you were gonna say was this line where Marty's like, "Ah, that's heavy," and
It's
Doc's like, "What do you mean? Is there something wrong?" Like,
Is there an
Yeah.
issue with the Earth's gravitational
Yeah.
pull?
There's,
Yeah.
there's that word again.
There's
Um,
that heavy. There's that word again.
Also, all three generations of Biff say the same line. Didn't I tell you not to come in here? Like all three generations say it at some point.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, in the first movie, he says, "Why don't you make like a tree and get out of
Get
here?"
outta
And
here.
in the second movie, old Biff tells him, "It's
It's
make
l-
like a tree and
and
leave."
Corrects himself.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I also like when Doc says, "Oh, Marty, I bet I guess in 1985 plutonium is available in any corner grocery store, but in 1955 it's a little harder to come by."
yeah. Just lines like that. Oh, Ronald Reagan, the actor.
Yeah. I can see why you need an actor for president. They have to be on television, you know. So there's, again, it's like these seem like, when you just quote them, they seem like throwaway lines, but they're really important to the development of the character's understanding and the plot.
Yeah.
Even just talking about who's the president in 1985, Ronald Reagan, the actor. Like, it's developmental to their relationship as two characters, and then eventually Doc comes around and he sees the camcorder and he's like, I can understand why you'd need to have an actor as the president, because he'd need to look good on camera, you know.
Yeah.
I'm rambling because
Mimosas.
I mean, well, to be honest, it's Back to the Future, and we can probably just keep this thing recording all day. But
we could do a 9-hour podcast on Back to the Future.
all right, starting now, let's go.
I think
So,
we,
my
I think we
favorite
have
thing-
enough alcohol for that.
Well, I mean, I think we covered about all the important stuff, all the fun stuff, all the
Fun.
stuff we love, all the facts. You know, I learned some new things, so that was really cool. And yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Let's have a nice cheers to the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. I have a habit of finishing all my drinks before the episode ends. So,
Would you
but
like a
there's a
little-
couple.
Are we
Would
pouring?
you like a little?
A little bit of the bubbly, sure.
Little bit of the bubbly.
That's good.
Because bad luck to toast.
What is
on
it?
an empty
Bad luck
glass.
to toast with water or an empty glass?
Is that a thing?
empty glass.
Is that an expression?
I think.
Yeah.
I think
Oh.
water too, isn't it? I don't know.
No, it makes sense for water, but
Yeah.
definitely empty glass is
Well,
bad luck.
Okay.
All right.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. We'll drink to this
Salud.
decade,
Kampai.
1980s, 1985, the 40th anniversary, the fourth decade anniversary of one of the greatest films of all time, Back to the Future.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
Wow.
you guys can follow my musical journey on streaming platforms like Spotify, blah, 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 as Idle Snail. But once again, I am Detective Artemis.
Now, Detective, I have a question. Is it idle, IDLE, or IDOL?
Good question. It's IDLE, as in not doing anything, my favorite pastime.
A snail who does nothing, which is just a snail who has slightly slowed down.
Just existing, really. Just
Yeah.
kind of laying there.
I like it. like it a lot.
I like it a lot. My name is Old Buddy Ben. You can find me on all social media at BENKLIEWER. It's pronounced Ben Cleaver. Spelled hard to spell, easy to say. And no, it is not real Ben Cleaver. It is not official Ben Cleaver. It is just Ben Cleaver. And I'm always trying to post more. I've been terrible at posting on social, but you know what? It's fun to do that. So I need to.
It can be draining sometimes.
Yeah, it can be draining. That's true. But
Absolutely.
it can also be fun. So
True.
I'll try to have more fun with it and get more engaged.
Just readjust your algorithm feed or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm Journey. You can follow my creative journey at
Oh.
Art Journey.
Oh,
And Art Journey is not a couples page for me in art. It is actually
where we make pottery together like in Ghost.
It is actually my art and video page. That's ARTJERNI. Thank you.
Originally Ghost wasn't pottery, it was Lego. Just kidding.
What? You spin
That would've been
Legos and you
weird.
just
Well, what do we say?
I don't know. I'm imagining like a weird
Because
Lego, like a Lego penis being spun,
Wow.
and like this couple trying to like
You took
shape
it
it.
there.
you took it there, yeah.
I did. I mean, that's you put the visual.
But now I'm
color
like,
it
how
in.
many veins are on there? It's like,
Can you make
I need
veins
the
with
detail.
Legos? That's
Sure you can. You can do anything with Lego.
spinning
Also-
Legos seem dangerous.
Also, the multiple of Lego is Lego.
like Legos,
You mean like plural?
Legos of my waffle. But
The plural of Lego is Lego.
So you don't say Legos?
There's no S, no.
Oh,
who thought of that?
the guy who
The
made
Dutch.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Why? I don't know. I prefer saying Legos.
Well, that's
not
incorrect.
correct.
It's like
Well-
it's like saying Jeff. No, Jeff is the
What?
correct way. Jeff is the correct way. GIF
GIF.
is the wrong way.
Oh, because it's generated, like soft J. So,
No, I don't know.
because it's
Anyway.
We could talk about
Do you
this,
park
but-
your car
GIF
in your
or Jeff?
garage? Anyway.
Yeah,
we
GIF.
we
No, it's supposed to be graphic. Something.
isn't it's not generated?
No, it's graphic.
No, it's graphic. But the original creator did say that he wanted GIF. But it's like no. It's,
and I said, no, that's peanut butter.
yeah. But it was like, but your actual
Choosy
acronym
moms.
starts with the
Choose
G,
GIF.
graphic.
GIF.
It's supposed
It's
to
a
be
GIF.
Well, this took a tangent. So,
That's what happens when you drink and you podcast.
actually, we drink and we watch things.
This is the first time you're correcting me. You're serious? Where did we do that? Okay.
Shut up, bitch.